Okay, so today I'm gonna review this book. This is a children's book called Dr. Lee and the Crown Variant Virus. Okay, and before I review this book, so this is basically a children's book about Dr. Lee. It's very short, just a few pages, as it's a children's book. But before I start reviewing this book, let me first show you the microblog of Dr. Lee's wife. Okay, this is Dr. Lee's wife, Fu Xuejie, and this is actually her statement. It translates as, well, I heard from the internet that some American congressmen proposed that they are going to name the square near the China embassy in the US as Dr. Wenliang Li Square. After I heard this message, I'm very sad because Wenliang is a Communism Party member. He deeply loves his country. If he knows, he will never allow others to use his name to hurt his country. To our own family, Wenliang is our most beautiful memory. It's also the greatest sorrow. We truly do not want others to basically, it's hard to translate this part. We truly do not want others to sort of like use Wenliang to discuss like politics, hot topics. It kind of refers to politics here. So basically, don't want to get involved in this kind of thing. And we deeply hopes that I we don't want to bring up our sad stories. Please let the passed away rest in peace, and so that those who survived can march forward. And we truly thank uh, care from all parts of the society, and wish everyone to be healthy and take care. By the way, yesterday, so on June 12th, Wen Liangli's wife gave birth to their child. So his wife actually was pregnant when he passed away. Okay, so I'm gonna start my book review with this statement because that's exactly, basically, this kind of book, in my opinion, is exactly what at least Dr. Lee's wife uh, dislike to see. Okay, she doesn't want this kind of attention. Especially, this book is filled with, I don't know, like filled with, you can call it mistakes or you can call it lies. So I'm gonna just go over this. So right in the beginning is just talk about that there's this doctor, eye doctor, okay, nothing unusual in this first paragraph. And then the lies or mistakes start from the second paragraph. One day, however, he noticed something strange. He observed that instead of having many different problems, his patients all seemed to be suffering from the same illness. It appeared to be a terrible cold, like the flu, but it was unlike any other flu that Dr. Lee had treated in the past. Okay. By the way, in the first paragraph, he actually mentioned that Dr. Lee is an eye doctor. Okay. So this paragraph seems to suggest that one eye doctor somehow noticed that his patients are not having eye-related problems. His patients are actually having cold, like sort of like a cold symptoms, and that's how he discovered this coronavirus. This is actually so far from reality. Okay, so let's take a look at the screenshot of basically the message Dr. Wenliang Li sent to his classmates. This is basically his whistleblowing message, so widely spread, and I would say I actually really appreciate he did this because I also learned that this coronavirus from this screenshot. Okay, this is also the source that I myself for the first time heard about this coronavirus. Okay, so the screenshot goes like this. In Huanan Seafood Market, they have confirmed 7 SARS. Okay, And then he gave one screenshot of a patient's examination. And then the red circled part basically says that this is SARS. And then he actually later on he said that, okay, it is a coronavirus and we are trying to determine the exact type. And then now here's the important message. Please do not spread this message to outside of this chatting group. The chatting group is for his classmates. His basically other medical students attended the same university as him. Do not spread to outside. Ask your family, your relatives to pay attention. Okay, so specifically it says that do not spread it outside. And then the later on is like a quick introduction of what coronavirus is. This seems to be copy pasted from like Wikipedia, such as like when coronavirus was first discovered and etc. 1937. Okay. Now let's take a look at this thing. This image, this is actually the source of Dr. Wenliang Li, and that is basically the source for Dr. Wenliang Li. This is Dr. Ai Feng, who is the director of the emergency department of Wuhan Zhongxin Hospital. By the way, I'm a Wuhan local. Like, I'm very familiar with this hospital. I've like lived in this hospital for quite some time because I got sick like very frequently in the past. And then she actually said that uh, she is the one who sent the report to other doctors in the same hospital. Dr. Wenliang Li works also in that hospital with Dr. Ifen. And then she actually said that, so when I send out the report to basically all my classmates, I actually circled using a red circle to circle the report basically says that there's SARS and then also different kinds of bacteria that are also discovered in these patients. That is basically the source here. So Dr. Ifen is the one who discovered, not discovered, but basically there are patients who got this disease and they were tested in that hospital, Wuhan Zhongxin Hospital, also called number 2 hospital for like people who live in Wuhan. That's the old name. And so basically in the hospital, there are already a few patients getting this disease that's mentioned in this report. By the way, what is this report? This is actually censored news article in China. There's a GitHub repository. The GitHub repository is called this thing. Okay, you can search for the GitHub here. This is a collection of censored Chinese article. And by the way, I think basically the author of this repository they already like got into trouble. So this is a collection of censored news article in Chinese, and then in this article, it basically mentions that they found a few patients in the hospital, and then that's when Dr. Ai Fen starts to warn the other doctors and also people she knows, and then basically that's the source of Dr. Wenliang Li. Okay, so it's not like this. This is wrong. And by the way, you can actually find a BBC reporting of the same story mentioning Dr. Ifen, and you can find like many anti-China news source mentioning Dr. Ifen and how she's the one actually provide the screenshot to Dr. Wenliang Li. But anyway, this is just like a wrong. Okay, this is either you can say it's sloppy, or you can say it's I don't know how to say it. Maybe lies, whatever you want to call them. Okay. And then, so the doctor immediately sent a message to his colleague, well, actually his classmates, because, well, I mean, that's another thing that's wrong. And it appeared to be very contagious because he had already seen 7 patients with it. Okay. Well, Dr. Wenliang Li actually wrongfully claimed that this is SARS. So that's one tiny mistake. But then to be fair, later on, that's like within 1 hour, so like 5 p.m., 5:43, and he said that it's SARS, and then it's actually the same day. 1 hour later, he mentioned that it's coronavirus, and they are trying to figure out the exact type. So this is basically, to be fair, later on, he just made it more specific. He says that it's not exactly the SARS we saw in 2003. Okay, and now the following day, police officers went and knocked on the doctor's door. Now, this is again sloppy, mistake, lies, however you want to call it, and no matter what, this is not a fact because the police never visited his home. So you see, like this kind of doctor at night, like police visiting a civilian's home, an innocent doctor, okay, and basically like they're trying to create this sort of like an image. That's not what happened. That's not what happened because what basically happened is that Dr. Wenliang Li was actually called into a police station a few days after, I think January 2nd or something, but then that's already after Wuhan CDC notified WHO. Uh, Dr. Wenliang Li is not, in my opinion, is not a whistleblower because this sentence alone, this sentence basically says, do not spread to outside. This sentence alone, in my opinion, means he's not the whistleblower. He did not leak this message himself. It's someone he's chatting to. This is basically a chatting group for his classmates. So some anonymous doctor in this group leaked this screenshot to the outside against the will of Dr. Wenliang. Dr. Wenliang said, do not spread outside, do not spread outside, do not spread outside. I'm emphasizing this. So basically on this alone, I don't think he's whistleblower. I would say Dr. Ivan is the whistleblower. Or you can say the anonymous doctor in this chatting group, that guy is actually the whistleblower. Okay, so now for those who are like sort of like defending China, they would say, well, this sort of like a screenshot, for example, Dr. Wenliang Li's screenshot, it doesn't mean anything because you can, because the doctors, hospitals were already acting on it, and then Wuhan CDC also issued an announcement on the same day. But then, to be fair, at least from my personal experience, a lot of people heard about this virus from Dr. Wenliang Li's screenshot. When was the last time you went to CDC's website and look at the announcements? Never, okay? People don't do that. When CDC sends out an announcement, even if it's on their website, it means very little. It won't get to the general public. Dr. Wenliang Li mentioned that this is SARS, even though there's tiny little bit mistake here. So people often just like shove maybe like just this part of the screenshot. SARS is a word that's scary, okay? For people who experienced this SARS virus in 2003, they know that actually the whole nation was sort of like in a semi-lockdown. So that is a scary, scary word. When a doctor mentioned that there are already 7 SARS patients, that is scary, therefore it spread like wildfire. So I would say like yes, this screenshot was actually the reason a lot of people heard of this, and maybe due to this, a lot of people decided to stay indoors, wash their hands, cover their mouth, and etc. So in a way, I think that this is actually helpful. All of us should really thank Dr. Wenliang Li, or maybe also thank Dr. Ivan and also thank the anonymous doctor in this chatting group who leaked this screenshot. Okay, so now Dr. Wenliang Li was not visited by the police, but actually in January, early January, one day he was called into the police station, and he spent 1 hour in the police station during lunchtime, and then he went back to work. So in the police station, he was asked to sign this form. Okay? This form basically says that, so your violation, this is basically his name, gender, birthday, and then his working place, Wuhan Zhongxin Hospital. And this is basically what crime you have violated. The crime is like this. In 2019, December 30th, in the WeChat group, Wuhan University, like zero medical 04 year 04. Anyways, this is basically a specific like a class group. You published the following. You published the following statement that is not true. The statement is that in Huanan Seafood Market, there are 7 SARS patients. So basically, this is saying like you shouldn't say that there are 7 SARS patients because they are not SARS. They are not SARS. So in a way, I think that's the point they are trying to argue for the local police station. But again, to be fair, he basically corrected this or made it more specific, made it more accurate just 1 hour later. 1 hour later. So in a way, if you just take a look at like one part, that's not factual. It's not SARS. But if you take a look at his follow-up message, then he made it very clear. But anyway, that's he. The police basically says that these are not SARS. That's basically the issue the police raised. And then now, according to law, you have published untrue statements over the internet, and that's a violation of law. And I'm going to give you warning and a reprehension. Your act seriously disrupted uh, social, sort of like a social stability, and your action is beyond the realm allowed by law, violated basically certain law in China, and this is against law. And the police wish you could cooperate with us and listen to our reprehension and cease your action against the law. Are you able to do this? Answer: yes. Fingerprint. Okay. And I hope you can calm down and reflect. And we seriously warn you, if you insist, your opinion, do not change your action, and you continue to engage in activities against the law, you will be punished by law. Do you understand? Answer: yes, I understand. Fingerprint. Okay, so that's basically the reprehension form Dr. Wen Liangli signed, and he basically left. Was called in to the police station during the lunchtime of January 2nd. If I remember correctly, that's January 2nd, and then he spent 1 hour in the police station and he left. Okay, so I'm not going to debate, for example, on whether this is wrong, this is right. Hindsight is always perfect, and actually now it's very difficult to like put yourself back into the perspective of a random policeman on January 2nd. He probably like didn't know shit about coronavirus because, well, at that time nobody has died from coronavirus yet. Okay, the first death was like January 5th or 7th, I couldn't remember. Anyway, so this is also not true. Okay, they didn't want him to frighten the other doctors. No, they say like he basically here it says that you are claiming there are 7 SARS patients. That is disrupting social stability. That's basically the issue the police raised. Okay, I'm not saying anyway. Don't want to debate whether this is right or wrong, but anyway, this is not factual. Okay, not factual. So even on the first 2 page, this is for example on the first page, this is basically stupid. This kind of statement is stupid because you are expecting that, let's say there's a pandemic going on in Wuhan, and a lot of patients rush into hospital, and somehow all the respiratory disease, for example, all the doctors who treat pneumonia, flus, whatever, they don't pick up, and somehow an eye doctor picked up this message. This is just stupid. Okay, this is stupid. And again, this sort of thing, not true. And it's actually very easy to get the correct message, because you can just go by, for example, BBC's reporting, and then there are a lot of like there are a lot of anti-China reporting. For example, I remember in Australia there's like a 60 Minutes something, and then they reported that Dr. Ifen, like this doctor, disappeared because she's actually the whistleblower, but actually she didn't disappear. But whatever, they want to say whatever they want to believe. Anyway, so not factual. And then, by the way, so the whole thing is that when Dr. Li was mentioning this over the internet, the CDC of China, basically the CDC of Wuhan government has already acted. They issued their announcement on the same day, and they were already like a lot of tests being done. The earliest sample tested was like December 24th. So on December 24th, there was already a hospital having one patient tested. Because the thing is that when you have a patient coming in with a flu, with a fever, you do not immediately test this patient. It costs like, if I remember correctly, I read it somewhere that it cost about like $500 to test for new virus, to just do the genetic sequencing. Only when the patient is seriously ill, the doctor would order this. If the patient is showing like mild symptom, the patient is asked to go back home and rest and see what happens. That's the normal response. And by the way, at that time, based on all the reporting I've heard, uh, actually all the Wuhan hospitals, they're not testing it inside their hospital because they do not have the capability to do genetic testing. They have to use like a basically a delivery service to send the sample collected from patient all the way to either Guangzhou or send it to Beijing to get tested. So different hospitals, they have collaboration with different commercial labs or different universities. So they were sent to Guangzhou or Beijing to get tested. And then like delivering forward and backward, that usually take another several days. Anyway, so so I'm not going to discuss, for example, like whether Dr. Wen Liangli is actually a whistleblower. I'm sorry, maybe I want to say something. I actually think Dr. Ifen and also the anonymous doctor in this chatting group they are the actual whistleblower. And I also feel that at the same time, I also feel that I myself am deeply like in debt to Dr. Wen Liangli, because the moment I myself saw this screenshot, I knew this thing is serious. Okay. So I contacted all my family members and the relatives in Wuhan on December, I think 30th at night. And then they were like, but actually to my surprise, everyone, they've already heard it from their own sources. So I actually didn't warn anything, didn't warn anyone. They already knew. Uh, it basically spread like wildfire. And then it took a screenshot like this to spread like wildfire. It wouldn't, I mean, people wouldn't look at the announcement on CDC website. Okay, nobody does that. Anyway, so and then later on in the book, it's basically talking about like how you can like handle coronavirus or whatsoever. Anyway, so that's basically my review of this children's book. The first two pages, the two pages actually talking about Dr. Li contain a lot of mistakes, sloppiness, or lies, however you want to put it, and also my message to basically author of this book is Please pay attention to the will of Dr. Wenliang Li's wife. Okay, she said, "We do not want to get involved in this kind of thing. Please let the passed away to rest in peace." Okay, by the way, and congratulations for having a new baby. That's it.